Hey all, Zook here, back with part 23 of the All Boss No Damage route through Scholar the First Sin. This one will take on Lud and Zalin, and I'll show you two different pathways through the Frigid Outskirts. So you'll see we're starting off the video here, reallocating some of our souls. We're going to get 40 strength, 40 dex. We're going to level up adaptability so that our agility is at 105. And then we're just going to dump the rest of the points into endurance. Since you don't need spells at this point, you could keep Homeward and the Faith stats for going to Dark Lurker, or you could keep your endurance stats to cast Urine if you really wanted to, but I'm just going to dump all these levels into endurance. Should be around level 70 or so. And then we're just going to go to the Frigid Outskirts. Now, one other thing that I had done before this, which hopefully you had done in your game, I went and bought Green Blossoms from Madrold. So that's the shopkeeper in the Iron Keep. Either stop at him or at Ornifex in Seldora. They both sell Green Blossoms. But to set this up, I get my equip load as low as possible while keeping all the physical damage ranks. And then I want to make sure that I can switch easily between the Rapier and the Old Knight Hammer. And last thing that I want to do to set up is put the bow in my left hand, because we are going to want to keep resin on the Old Knight Hammer while also being able to shoot hollows that are in our way. So I hop in the coffin, make sure that I have either a fire or dark resin in my inventory, and a couple fire or dark resins in my inventory. So if you need to stock up on those from Madrold, you can do that while you're buying the Green Blossoms, if you still need to do that. And then we're going to run exactly opposite from the boats, which should bring us to this graveyard. Take the rightmost standing gravestone, and I should have run it, so I should have run further left than I did. So basically keep the other standing stone kind of on the very left edge of your screen, and that should line you up so that you're getting right about to the house right here. But as soon as you get to the house, get out your bow. If you can shoot this hollow, do it. I can't right here. Don't think that the hawk ring would have made a difference. But then I'm going to also switch to the Old Knight Hammer because we are going to have to smush a horse. And we're going to run out to this corpse. Notice I resined on the hammer before running out. Same with taking a Green Blossom. I'm going to shoot that hollow because he would have been in the way for getting to the next house. I'm going to stand on the corpse, and right about at my 11 o'clock, a reindeer should spawn in. We walk backwards a bit, smush it, and then when we go back to the body, we want our left foot to be kind of on its like abdomen, and then our right foot to be over its head. So kind of so that like you want to be centered up so that your center is right over the shiny when you're running towards the house. If you need that angle to make sure that you get to the house, I mean, if you know where the house is, run to the house. That's just how I remember where the house is. So then we make it to the second house. And this strategy is going to be the exact same as what we had just done. So I do a blossom, I do a resin, and I get the bow. This time there's two hollows that you have to shoot. One of them is typically in front of the corpse, one of them is behind it. You definitely want to kill the one in front of the corpse, this one that I'm shooting now. because that one will see you as you're running to the corpse. The second one might not aggro, but I like to shoot it anyways just to be careful. Again, reindeer should spawn in around 11 o'clock. This time our left foot should be on the buried head of the corpse and our right foot should be over its right shoulder. That's again how I remember exactly the angle that I want to be taking, because when you approach the third house, you don't want to be right up on that third house. You actually want to be a bit to its left, because if you're too close to that entrance, there is an ice golem in there that will attack you. So that would be the only reason why you would want any points in intelligence at this point, just to make sure that you can distract that ice golem and stay safe as you roll out here. So we roll out 3 times from that corner. There is a reindeer that will spawn in between us and Lud and Zalin's boss fog. So we really want to get there in time. We'll get there in time when we run this route, the last route that you're going to see in this video, so the last like 7 minutes of the video. You are actually going to see me mess it up and the reindeer does spawn in. So I'll just mention right now that if the reindeer does spawn in, use none of your items. Don't use any items and just go into the boss fog. If there's a reindeer chasing you, the reindeer are going to get caught up to you before you can finish using your item, and at the very least before you can actually get into the boss fog. So you can double check. You should be able to hear it if there is a reindeer behind you, but if you, again, see a reindeer, go into the boss fog. But coming up here in just a second, you're going to actually see a boss fight. Again, I had recorded this run through last, so I had already beaten the boss at this point. But for the boss fight, I'd actually done this without respecking, just because I'd wanted to see how the endurance worked. As you'll see in a second, the endurance doesn't work fantastically. I did record this off of some save states, so I chose one where I did get hit. I had several attempts where I didn't end up getting hit at all and I took no damage. I actually thought that this was one of the better fights though, especially just because it showcases all of their attacks and what you can do. Typically, Lud will start off with that ice spear, that soul mass attack. And then we're going to try to hit him 4 times. And the specific number cap that we're looking for, we're looking to go for 3,000 damage done. So knowing that my first 2 hits were not counter hits, that's why I did an R2 for the 4th hit, because we want to get him down as much as possible. Now, I re-resined. That actually turned out to be a huge mistake, because if I hadn't done another resin, I could have gotten behind Lud and probably finished him off right here while I had the bright bug ticking. You're going to see the bright bug's going to go away. Actually, I might have already. Can't really tell if the aura is still around my character. But you'll notice that I'm dodging forward right, same as I did with Ava. If I'm close and he does this lunging swipe, then I do try to go forward right. If I'm far enough away, then instead of dodging into him, I'll just dodge backwards. Right. And again, just remember, when he does that forward swipe, he can follow that up with a second. And I feel like I've seen him do a third if you stay in front of him, but that seems to be super rare if it is even possible. I know that he can do the 2 swipes and then jump away. But at this point, I just say screw it, and I get lucky that he was charging up his explosion attack. If he had jumped away, I would have needed to pursue him and just hoped that Zalin wasn't actually coming after me. And typically Zalin will try to do the Ice Soul Mass attack as well to start. So normally you have a little bit of extra time to hunt down Lud before Zalin comes at you. And there's the hit that I took. And that attack where he does that AoE explosion, that is the only attack that you should really ever try risking re-resining your sword. You're going to see me re-resin here, and it's a really close call for me getting hit. But yeah, otherwise this really is just, it's a fight that you can use, honestly, instead of practicing against Ava, just fight these two, because you're going to need to practice on these two anyways, and really they are practice against Ava. Now, once you get in below this certain threshold, should be a third of his health, he will jump back and try to buff. The buff just acts similar to Velstat's buff, his Sacred Oath, where it's going to act as kind of a mini Bright Bug. So you'll do less damage after the buff kicks in, so try to kill Zalin before the buff kicks in. But yeah, otherwise, that's your fight. Treat it just like Ava. Now, after you do this, you would want to head to Dark Lurker if you haven't already done Dark Lurker, because you might have wanted to do Dark Lurker while you still had some attunement points and while you still had some stat points and attunement and faith, just because you could still cast Homeward if you needed to worry about the Forlorn Invasion and Black Gulch, just because you won't be able to get into the Dark Lurker arena if Forlorn has invaded. So that's something that I'll mention in that video, but only reason why you might want to do Dark Lurker before here is just that you would keep your stats. So especially if you aren't reallocating stats for Frigid Outskirts, you might as well just do that one now. So this second run through, you're going to see me run through without reallocating my stats. I'm still going to have the exact same, well, a similar strategy for dealing with the reindeer, where I'm going to do 2 bops over the head with the Old Knight Great Hammer, and I'm going to use Green Blossoms to try to make it through the actual area as quickly as I can. But this time around, when I make it to the graveyard, instead of going towards that first house, I'm going to go to the left, and I see this standing stone and the one that's laying on the ground, and I run right in between them. So then, if I've done that, then when the storm lets up, I'm going to see kind of over this edge here, I see some black spots on the mountain in front of me, on the snow ridge that's built up on the west side of the map. I run towards those black spots. When I see the black spots on the ground, I should be safe. Resin up, run forward a bit. If you run, well, when you run too far forward, should be a reindeer that spawns in right around your 2 o'clock. If the reindeer that spawned in the first strategy spawn in at your 11 o'clock, reindeer for this strategy spawn in around your 1 or 2 o'clock. Keep the resin on and eat a green blossom. We're going to run up when the storm starts again. And we're just going to kind of hug the left wall. And even if you run up a little bit early, that's fine. Just don't run up too early, because in a few seconds here, we're going to spawn another reindeer. And yep, there it is. Should be about halfway to the second building right now. So I kill this reindeer. You can switch to the rapier at this point if you wanted to make sure that you're able to make it to the building, but you are going to need the Old Knight hammer out in just a second, because after you're lined up next to that building parallel to it, then we are still going to run up right along the left side snowbank, keep resin on the hammer, and then, yep, reindeer spawns in at 2 o'clock, run backwards, bop it twice. And so the good thing about this strategy is that you don't have to worry about the walking hollows, so you don't really need that offhand bow for this. The bad thing, obviously, is that it's a little bit less predictable with the reindeers, and you do have to fight a couple more reindeers, right? You have to fight 4 total reindeer as opposed to 2 of them. But after we kill the third reindeer, we run straight ahead. We don't go too far left during the snowstorm, because there is another reindeer over on our left side if you go too far left. But we run right up to this edge, and there's going to be a straight line on the ground to our right. You see it right before the snowstorm kicks in, and that's what we're going to go for after we bop this reindeer. So again, we take it twice. And then we find this straight line on the ground. Perfect. We run straight along it and a little bit further up. And you can actually go a little bit further up than I did. I cut it a little bit close as far as making it to the third building. But that straight line should put you on a direct route to the third building. So when we start going up along it, that should just naturally make us avoid the ice golem. Again, cut it a little bit close to getting to the building in time, but we made it. And then here's my mistake, is that I only rolled out twice. So like I had mentioned before, you are going to see me accidentally aggro the reindeer behind me. If you aggro the reindeer, you will hear it behind you. So even though I do everything right as far as, okay, I eat the green blossom and I sprint up with the lowest equip load possible, if you have aggroed the reindeer, do not buff before going into the boss fog. You're going to see me buff and then panic quit out because the reindeer is right behind me. That's a bad idea, because if you quit out, the enemy spawns in right where it was. So I actually had to panic kill the reindeer. It is a mess. So just go straight in, use the bright bug. That's more important than the resin. And yeah, other than that, you already saw the boss fight, so I'm not going to play another boss fight for this. But otherwise, next video we will be taking on the Dark Lurker, and then after that should just be the final bosses of Shulva and the Ivory King. So I will catch you in the next one.